few things that we're doing as a company and as an organization. I'm from Bulk Green Energy. We are part of the Bulk MRO group of companies. We have been working in various sectors. Most recently, something prominent that we did last year was we set up a sea survival center for ONGC, and Prime Minister Modi inaugurated it. That's my twin brother and me. Both of us have been running this company now for more than 10 years. We're ex-Wharton graduates. We're working in the US for more than 10 years. Lived there. I was a trader on Wall Street. My twin brother was working at McKinsey. We decided to give all that up, come back to India, start something over here, make an impact. So the company we founded right now is backed by prominent investors like Y Combinator and Bain Capital from the US. We've also got Japanese investors on board. We've got investors from the Middle East, investors from Switzerland. And you know, it's surprisingly no investor from India. So going back to some of the funding questions, I mean, we've had a very hard time raising money in the Indian ecosystem for any of the projects that we've undertaken, though they've been wildly successful. And that's something that, you know, we can obviously debate and discuss as to why. Most recently, so last year what we did is, we decided that we want to dedicate part of our business towards green energy transition. One of the things that we've jumped into whole hog is CSP, or the concentrated solar power. Last year in Abu Dhabi, we launched a joint venture with the Al Masood Energy Group based in Abu Dhabi, and the Honorable Minister was also present during this launch. And what we've done is we've basically worked on localizing and bringing in different technologies to India, which we can localize 100%. So I'll quickly walk you through what CSP is, because maybe some of you all don't know this, but CSP basically is it's another form of solar energy, which in India for some reason is highly underrepresented, though globally it is doing exceptionally well in the US, in Europe, in China, believe it or not, 10%, there's a new law as per the 15th five-year plan, where 10% of any new renewable energy that is going to come on board has to be CSP. So what is CSP? CSP basically is taking your sun's energy through a parabolic trough and heating heat transfer fluid, which then is being stored in a thermal storage battery. In our case, it's molten salt battery. Now, this heat energy in the molten salt battery can be stored for up to for months on end, because the decay is only 1 degree per day. And we're able to raise the temperature up to 400 degrees. So theoretically, you can have energy in that molten salt battery for 400 days. Now, the cost of that battery, $20 per kilowatt hour. Okay, and that is molten salt. If you're changing it from molten salt to some other new mediums like sulfur, that cost can go down to $2 per kilowatt hour. And you're talking about 24/7 dispatchable heat energy being available. The amount of area that we need to set up a CSP plant is about 1 acre per megawatt. It's about half the size of what you have for solar PV. And I'm talking about 1 acre per megawatt with storage. So inherently, why is this exciting for me as an entrepreneur, and why are we so passionate in our business to pursue this fairly new technology from the Indian ecosystem, is because 75% of industrial energy consumption is for heat. It's not for electricity. So while we keep talking about energy transition, we keep talking about solar from the electricity perspective and EV perspective, what we have to realize is that we're using a lot of our electricity consumption for generating heat, which is a complete waste. What if we were able to introduce and evangelize technologies like this in India so that you can free up that electricity for whatever else you need to use it for? And that's the kind of mission we are kind of setting ourselves out to do. And I'm talking about applications such as enhanced oil recovery. Over there we have a lot of gas, for example. ONGC is a classic example. About 10 to 15% of the gas that ONGC drills is used for drilling ONGC gas, which is crazy. Imagine if you were able to free up that 10 to 15% of gas and put it back into your CGD companies, into the grid, and instead use an enhanced oil recovery. Is you're using this gas to generate steam to push back into your oil well so that it becomes more efficient. So it's a steam injection system which uses gas to generate steam. Imagine instead we went ahead and put up these CSP plants, which is generating heat, generate steam through your steam condenser, your steam block, and use that instead. So Oman PDO has commissioned a 1.1 gigawatt EOR plant using CSP. It's 100% green, and they freed up all that excess gas to sell it. Their revenues obviously jumped up, and the ROI on their entire plant went up by 300% as a result. So we have these applications. So there's EOR, then there's CDUs. All your refineries are using about 10% of crude to heat your crude to fractionate it. Imagine if we preheated your crude to 400 degrees. So that's the next slide, actually. So over here, this is just another application for CDUs, where your crude oil needs to be heated to 400 degrees to fractionate it into gas, gasoline, kerosene, diesel, fuel oil. Now, our plant and our technology allows you to heat it to 400 degrees, 410 degrees actually. So we can preheat the crude and save you all that money that you're burning that crude. And of course, the additional benefits are, it's completely green. So you have no fossil fuel emissions, none of that. So you're saving money, you're saving the environment, and this is 100% renewable. Now, another advantage that we have is that the life cycle of our plants is way more than solar PV. There's no degradation. Because what is our plant? Our plant is simply mirrors and steel. There's no degradation over there like you have in solar PV. So the life cycle of our plants can be as high as 40 and 50 years. Now, why do we know this? Because US has one of the oldest plants, which is about 60 years old in Nevada, and it's still running. And it's still running at the same efficiency as when it was installed. So now I can run through some. So this is just one image of one of the, this is a 100 kilowatt module that we have. It's literally a curved mirror with a heat transfer fluid and a vacuum tube. We can discuss more about it offline. But this is a slide that I think is most captivating for me, right? So we are right now running a project for ADNOC in the Middle East, a 7 megawatt project as a pilot, which is going to ramp up to 200 megawatts once we commission it. We've also worked on a couple of projects. Well, we're trying to create these projects in India with NTPC. So this is one number. This slide that we've put together is for an NTPC project where they needed to generate 10 tons per day of steam. 10 tons per hour of steam is what they need. And it needs to be green steam because they're manufacturing green methanol. I said, okay, great. So how do you generate green steam? You have green steam that you can generate with electric heaters, powered by green energy, powered by solar, but then you'd also need to have a thermal energy storage solution so you can have steam being generated through your heating block at night. So that entire capex for that model over here, based on our calculations, is about 53 crores. Not bad for 10 ton per day, per hour generation. If you go to the CSP model with TESS, again, TESS is thermal energy storage solution, it comes to 236 crores. So it's significantly higher, about almost 4 or 5 times higher. But now my CSP plant only operates in the day. So, and I'm not going to be able to, in the monsoon months, cater to the 90,000 tons of steam per year that I need. So I need to also augment my CSP plant with an electric heater to have electric augmentation from the grid. So we understand there are limitations in CSP because obviously it's depending on sunlight. So we go ahead and even add that in to make it 90,000. So if you look at column 1 and column 3, that's the equivalent apples to apples comparison. My capex is 265 crores versus 53 crores. Now what happens with most finance guys, and I'm a finance guy, I'm from Wharton, right? You're like, oh, look at the capex, and yeah, let's just think about that and end the story there. Of course we have to do electric heaters and tests. Who wants to worry about spending 5 times the amount? But now let's go down a little and look at the total cost of ownership. And I don't know why, for the life of me, we Indians don't look at total cost of ownership. We always look at capex and L1. If you look at the total cost of ownership of electric heaters and tests, and I've only taken 6.5 rupees as my open access cost of electricity, which I don't know if it's high or low. I think it's low. NTPC guys told me 6.5 se chalu karo. Hamara actually 8 या 9 रुपया hai. I said, ठीक है, 6.5 se chalu karo. My total cost of ownership over 25 years, including interest costs, is 1,100 crores. My total cost of ownership for CSP with electric heaters and tests is only 885 crores. You're talking about a saving, clean saving, and this is very conservative numbers. I've taken 9.5% interest rate on my capex, which again, I'm assuming is on the higher side. You're saving clearly every year 9 to 10 crores just on this model with interest costs I'm talking about. Now, if you look at the actual cost of electricity, if that 6.5 actually became 7, 8, 9, this gap just widens significantly. And I'm not talking about any of the savings that you're going to make because of You're not burning gas, you're not burning fossil fuels. None of that has been captured here. Those are additional savings. So the question that I would like to ask the audience and some of the finance guys here is, why is it that we're not promoting this technology, right? And my mission over here was not to give an answer as to how we want to get funded, because I don't know how we're getting funded in India. All my funding is coming from Middle East or Japan, which is a shame, because these projects have very good ROI, and all that ROI is accruing to my international investors. And yeah, so just a few more points is that, the entire supply chain for this is localized. We have zero dependencies on China for any of the critical components. Right now, to achieve some of our solar PV targets, I mean, one report I read said that it's more than $30 billion of forex is going to have to be spent to achieve or even come close to our solar PV targets. And the 30 billion is going straight to China. In our case, we don't need any of that. It's 100% localized. Now, I'm not saying we can replace solar PV. That's not at all the message here. The message is that we should at least have 5, 10, 20% of CSP as part of the energy basket. From a finance perspective, it makes sense. And if you have to look at it, obviously, at the total cost of ownership, and also from the standpoint of the total Indian ecosystem, how we're going to benefit from it. Yeah, that was just a quick summary. Yeah, this, by the way, is the picture of the one in Oman. Okay. Yeah, so this is a 1 gigawatt in PDO that they've done. Thank you.